Hey Ohio, this is Jimmy Martin from the Speaking of Music show at YouTube. Thanks for listening to The Nursery.
It's cold in this neck of Ohio tonight, and the style is right for a sad winter song. I feel lost like a speck in a pile out of sight, and though I try with all might, I just don't feel that strong. As we walk through a field trekking on snowy dirt, my eyes start to hurt trying to see you smile. And we talk about fears making our story short. You are scared to get shot, your bravery goes for miles. And there's more miles to go as we walk the train tracks. I think we lost the rain back in the woods we just hiked. And the store signs can glow as you walk sidewalk cracks. I think we lost the town back trading street lamps for kites. The nursery and all of the trees crossed over the dark. And some old parking lots hold my whimpering thoughts. And I'm on the next train, you and me. Can't you see what this means? In the light of a torch, realize nothing is forced, nothing is forced.
Oh God!
I'm sorry. What does it make the game like less fun if it was on silent while we talked?
I doubt it, but I don't actually use it.
Well, I feel like that might help you.
Well, I get so distracted. I probably would like
Sure?
fumble with like any. We can sit on the porch if you want.
Okay, let's do it. I'm recording.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So don't
Hey,
say
you
anything
just-
bad about Peppy.
You just really start. Is that always running?
Always.
Just at all times in your life?
It was running the other night when you and me and Aaron. You see, you gotta watch
You're
me.
kidding! It was running then?
Because see, you know I'm not gonna do anything to hurt anybody's
Oh.
reputation, but
What
you gotta watch me,
reputation?
because what's wrong with me? Why would I do that without telling you?
Yeah. Oh.
But I wanted to catch something in case Aaron
So if I
said
didn't sign a
something.
release and you used it, would
I'm just gonna keep pointing it when
Oh.
you talk. You can stay here actually.
I was gonna
To
say
make
like,
it weird and uncomfortable.
Oh man, can we lock eyes?
Yeah, it'll make it worse. But
I was just gonna say if we didn't sign a release and you use that, could we like technically sue you?
yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm necessarily gaining profit from that one
I guess
podcast, but
profit makes
it doesn't really matter, right? I'm slandering you, right?
right. I guess the fact of just yeah.
Plus, I'm just sticking this in your face.
Man, this is how we're gonna do it, huh?
Yeah. This is what I did with Jack and Kent, and I did it with a couple other people. I like it better like this because even though it puts pressure on you, you condense your message a little because you know I'm swinging it back to me.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it's something I'm gonna have to get used to. I think.
I don't do it all the time like this, but
Is it because we're like outside or?
yeah, partially. Jack and I just laid in the grass and did it on Kent campus.
You know, you could probably just get like a better microphone. It probably wouldn't hurt.
That's a nice intro into asking people to give me money.
Yeah.
Guys, give us money. It's not just me, it's anyone who's around me that's part of this.
Oh, wow, that was the most full can I've ever tried to drink out of.
What is that?
I don't know. I think it's beer. I think it was a gift from Dan for my birthday.
Nice.
Jammer 6-point Cycliquids. I don't know how to say that. Ale brewed with sea salt and coriander. It's actually pretty good.
Coriander? Isn't that like your nickname?
Yeah, Lori calls me coriander.
Weird. Okay.
Peppy's paprika or
Yeah,
paprika.
That's right. Okay, I got Okay, I'll hit you with 3 things. You might not know what any of them are, but it might inspire something.
Okay.
Number 1, the captain from Captain and Tennille has been sick with some sort of similar thing to Parkinson's.
Okay.
For years, and I saw that, and I think they've filed for divorce as well.
Okay.
Captain and Tennille. Not that it matters, but I started looking them up because my interest was he played keyboard for a number of shows with the President of the United States of America.
Okay.
And it is impossible to find proof of that other than one time on the Jenny McCarthy show. You remember on MTV? See, this is my knowledge. It's so
Okay,
useless.
yeah, it's
The Jenny McCarthy show. There is another Jenny McCarthy show now. I'm not talking about that one. There was one in
She has a
'96.
show now?
Yeah, I think, or there was one. But
Okay.
there was one in '96 on MTV called Jenny McCarthy Show. It was fantastic. Had a bunch of really good comedy skits, musical guests, The Roots, The Presidents, so many great guests. And the captain from Captain and Tennille was playing keys for the Presidents.
That's really crazy. I had no idea about that.
And so I'm just enraged I can't find that. I usually don't care about things like that, but I'd care for some reason. I don't think he played on the album, but he was like their touring keys guy for a while. Maybe he was only on that one episode, but I doubt that.
Is the topic his appearance on that show or the fact that he has Parkinson's?
It's just
Or
his
whatever?
appearance on the show. I don't
That's
care
what
that he
you
has
wanted to
Parkinson's.
get to.
Yeah.
It's funny that you opened with
Yeah.
the sickness and then divulged into that.
Right. And then my second idea is I was listening to a podcast called Edumacation, which I really love, and it's just kind of a cruddy radio lab where one guy who has just like who's kind of like Jack, who has just knowledge,
Okay.
talks, and then Kevin Smith sits there and
How many podcasts
jokes.
does Kevin Smith have?
He does it so many. It's
Okay.
retarded. It's like 10 of them a week.
All right.
And then they said they were listening to, or they were talking about 127 hours, and they were talking about people who have done that besides that guy, and it was like gross stories. And Kevin Smith was saying if he would have been in that situation, he would have like eaten his arm off, and then he would have just kept eating and eating his whole self. And like he was saying, like just because he was like, I'm a fat guy, so I just kept eating, and I eat my entire self.
Like maybe after the arm, he'd be like, you know what, this is not so bad.
Yeah. And then he said his whole self would be disappeared somehow. Like somehow he'd stay eating after he died. And, like,
it would just be like down to just a pair of chattering teeth.
yeah, right. And then I can't remember my last thing, but does any of that stuff inspire you to do something entertaining for our listeners?
Are you asking me to like cannibalize myself right now?
Yeah.
I don't think that will translate well to podcast.
Well, how about this? Why don't you tell me a story where you were certain you were going to be in for something like that? Like, be it you thought you were trapped, be it you thought you were about to get in a car accident, be it you thought you were just like going to be like in some sort of fearful situation.
Okay.
You and me both have listened to weird things on Love and Radio. We've listened to maybe some weird things akin to the No Sleep podcast or Night DJ
Vale.
turned us on to Welcome to Night Vale.
Oh, was that DJ's
That was
recommendation?
DJ, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and but what have you had a situation where you just thought you were going to be trapped?
A situation where I thought I was going to be trapped.
Yeah, you ever have anyone like lock you in a closet, lock you in like a room where they're just being funny, but because I've had that happen.
I don't know that that's ever happened. I felt fairly trapped that one time we drove home from your house and that guy followed us in that car. I felt like I was never going to get out of that situation or out of that car ever again.
I knew we were going to hit something good. You got to tell this whole story right now, man.
Oh,
Take
God, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it just started when we left your house once after a game night when you lived in Columbiana, and it was about a 10-minute drive home, and about, I don't know, a quarter of a mile away from home, we realized there was a guy that had pulled up to us, and he was looking menacingly into our car, and we were like, what is wrong with this guy? And then we went to turn, and he followed us. Like, he was in the wrong lane when he pulled up next to us and was, like, looking at us and, like, trying to say something. We couldn't make it out. And then he kept following us, then we were passing the house, and we decided not to pull into the driveway. And it was me, Peppy, Mindy, and Aaron. Aaron was driving, and it was just crazy. So we like passed the house because we didn't want him to see where we lived, and then he just kept following us. He kept like speeding up, kept flashing his brights, all this stuff, and for a while we were just kind of like, this is a crazy guy. Like, we just thought maybe we could turn a couple times and lose him. He'd lose interest or something, but no matter where we went, he kept right on our tail. And Mindy had called the police at this point to be like, hey, there's someone following us, like, we don't know what to do. And they were like, we'll come to the police station. So we pull into the police station, and she said someone would be waiting right out front for us, which they weren't. We pulled in the parking lot. It was vacant completely. And so we tried to turn around in the parking lot. There was like concrete medians down the middle. And while we were trying to pull around on one side, he came flying up the other and tried to box us in. And I want to say he got out of his... I don't remember. I don't think he got out. I can't remember if he got out of his car and approached the car or not. But Erin, and all of her adrenaline-fueled driving mastery, she like somehow got around him, pulled back out. Mindy's freaking out on the phone with the dispatcher, being like, "Where do we go? Where do we go?" And she had said that there was a police officer on a side street near there. And then we had like finally pulled out, and the police officer had pulled him over while we continued back to the police station. And then we later found out that when he got pulled over, he got out of his car, approached the police officer. The police officer had to, I think he said he pulled his gun out of his holster and told him to get back in the car, which he did. And then while we were in the police station, the police officer brought the man inside, like uncuffed. Like, I mean, he was free to just approach us. He was coming at us very quickly, and we were all kind of like taken aback, like, hey, this guy has been chasing us. Like, can you please restrain him or keep him away from us? And then it turned out to be that he saw a car that looked like Erin's back near your house 10 minutes away leave an area where he thought that, like on his property, where he believed we stole scrap metal, which we didn't. It was all on a hunch that that's what he thought we were doing. And then so the cop just chalked it up to like a misunderstanding and just like let us all leave together, which luckily Mindy had the thought to like stay behind, use the bathroom or something, so that he would leave before us. Because that was crazy that he was like, oh, misunderstanding. I mean, they didn't even check our trunk to see if we were telling the truth. It just seemed like such a strange thing. There was no report filed. And then he just like was like, okay, everyone can go out together. And we were like, oh, we're going to let him go first.
He still thinks it could be you.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, at that point, he could have been putting on like a nice face because the police were involved, and then once we got outside, who knows, like, if he still believed it. I don't know. But luckily he was gone, and then we got home just fine. But I don't know. That was probably the most like terrified, trapped feeling I've ever felt, because I just, especially in the parking lot when he cornered us. I mean, he was clearly trying to box us in to keep us from like getting away from him. Like, I mean, it was straight like vigilantism that he was trying to.
Did you have thoughts of what you would do long term?
What do you mean?
If like he got, I shouldn't say the word long term. Just as you have scenarios in your head, hypotheticals.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely in fight or flight mode. I mean, I felt like if for some reason if we got in a situation where the car couldn't get us out, I mean, I just thought about having to. I thought, I mean, if it comes down to it, if we had to fight this guy, I mean, I guess it's just that's what was in my head. I mean, it was like. I didn't know what he wanted, why he was doing this to us. I mean, I had no information other than it was just a crazy man coming after us. And so, yeah, I mean, that went through my mind of, oh, God, I'm going to have to get into some sort of, like, brawl this evening. I mean, I didn't know if he had, like, a weapon or, I don't know. It was weird. It was very strange.
I like that a car just, like, flew by you when you said that. You're like, he's coming at us.
Yeah, right. And honked the horn. He's been casing my house ever since.
You stole some scrap metal from me. Yeah, our area, this, by the way, not that no one knows who, it doesn't matter. It's just people telling stories, but this is Cory Foster. I didn't say that.
I had expected, like, I had imagined you were talking into this microphone the whole way over here, like, setting up what you were doing. Is that what you were doing?
You'd think. No, I just wanted to record the sound of the car driving. Stupid.
Okay.
But yeah, guys, if you don't know who that is, not super relevant to anyone who I am either. Just hopefully you enjoy our banter. But, we're Ohio people, and what I wanted to say regarding the scrap metal was, that's exactly what would happen around here, Like, people would just be like, hey, I have a scrap metal yard, and I'm really proud of it, and I live south of Route 7 and 14, and I'm angry, and I'm driving around in North Lima looking for the person who stole my, whatever stole my something. And that's probably, like, very predictable for our area. We both come from East Palestine, Ohio. What would you tell the listeners East Palestine is? What could you tell them about it?
I mean, it's just like any, I don't know, like a small town. I mean, it there wasn't much to do. It's fairly hillbilly like. I mean, the classes, the art classes and stuff. I mean, we had pretty big saturation of rednecks and stuff. With the few that weren't. It was. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a regular run-of-the-mill small town where you didn't have to lock your doors, you didn't lock your car doors. You just, like, kids at age, I don't know, 8 and up could just kind of have free roam of the streets and everything. It was cool. I mean, it's not like that now. I think that it's more, with, I hear a lot of stuff about drugs and, like, my brother being on the fire department and EMT and stuff and, like, talking about, like, the meth labs he's busted and, like, trunks of cars and this and that, and I don't know, it's weird. It's not the same town as it was, but I mean, where is?
Were you one of the guys who left your keys in your car when it was unlocked?
No, even though we were in a town where that was common for people to do, I've always been a locker.
Me too. But I was always relatively comfortable, like you say, leaving my house door unlocked and things like that, but I never left my keys in my car.
Yeah, I know.
And my friend Liz, she left her keys in her car, and we went on a walk to Circle K because that's what we did for some reason. And she came back and the keys were still there, but a bunch of burnt CDs were stolen. Can you imagine somebody stealing burnt CDs now?
I know.
Yeah, that's valuable.
Yeah, right. I mean, and it's so funny because that was that was probably 8 years ago or something. It's just funny how fast time goes that was a valuable commodity or CDs, and now, I mean, people, who cares? I mean, you can get whatever you want.
Can you imagine them going in and being like, oh, she has a burnt copy of Deftones? Yeah, this is great. Oh, good, Cold Chamber, great. I'm probably getting this wrong, Liz, if you're listening, but if they're so valuable, I'm going to take this home and listen to it. Thank God they left their door unlocked.
Yeah. At that time, it was probably a lot of rave music.
Yeah, it was probably dance music. And probably stuff the person... That's the best part, is that the person who opened her door up probably hadn't heard of half of it and was like, I'll give it a whirl, and still just stole it. But do you think that now, because we have the Spotify and iTunes and Pandora, that it's obviously saving some plastic, I believe, maybe not because of the devices it's on, but do you think that that's helping us or hindering us in the long run, keeping in mind aside from stealing, just the idea of stealing music and stuff, do you think that's helped anyone or hurt?
I don't know. I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, CDs are still being made. I mean, I'm sure that they're being sold less. So, I mean, I guess any less material use is good. Yeah. I think it's probably a good thing that a lot of stuff can be streamed now without waste of materials. DVDs too, and any of that stuff. I mean, I'm sure it's probably good. I don't know what this bird's are doing.
No, that's cool. I definitely look at it that way. I know that some people say don't use this because it doesn't support people correctly, doesn't give them as much of a royalty and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, if you're worried about that, then there's that title service or this or that. I mean, they'll work out the kinks eventually. It's still fairly new, but I mean, I still think that streaming is a cool way to go. I mean,
oh yeah, and maybe they'll just kind of kick the prices up when more people are there to support it, and who knows how that'll work. But not that's kind of a boring subject overall, because I'm not somebody who can be round table. Who's the dude you listen to? The dude that's pretty democratic.
Bill Maher.
Yeah, I know this isn't that kind of subject, but I can't even do on this scale what he does on that scale.
I mean, if we had more people, I mean,
maybe
it's easier to bounce off. I mean, it's hard with two people.
Yeah,
I mean, especially two people who think almost identically.
Who don't? Yeah. I was gonna say I don't have any different opinion on that. Well, is there anything you want to talk about? Is there any platform? This is just stupid, so it's hard to get a grip on what you want to steer towards. But is there anything you kind of would want to say to a number of 100 people who may listen? That kind of is that that's kind of the ballpark for me,
right.
Lowest number possible. It'll probably be more than that, but
I think a lot of your podcasts, don't you?
Yeah, I think a ton of them. Yeah. I wish it was a ton of people. But but I don't know. Is there a message? Do you have a message overall as a person? Because I don't. But
I mean, that's a lot of pressure for a hermit like me to come up with something like some sort of message. I think in the last podcast, that was like the one where it was just the two of us. I think you gave me my mantra of staying sharp.
Yeah, I know, I did.
I mean, which was nice because I'm not very good at thinking of like words of wisdom or anything off the top of my head.
Well, you guys, if you're listening to this, go back and listen to video games and zombie apocalypses, or zombie apocalypses and video games.
I think it was something about zombies in nursing homes. Was that in part
You're
of the
probably
title?
right. You're probably right.
That might. I just remember.
Well, if you zombies in the title for sure. Zombie is in the title. So if you guys go
games in nursing homes, I can't remember.
Yeah, we talked about nursing homes. That was a good subject. We did. If you guys go back and check out like on archive.org, I believe, and stuff. It's all on thirdclass.net, bullshit.com. If you go back and listen, we talked a lot about what we would do personally with either our significant others or what we wished for ourselves when we got older. And that was kind of fun because that's like a deep question. Oh, okay, here's something. And, that means like if you're listeners, if we were older, would we want in a nursing home or would we not? And Cory said, you know what? Just take care of me, flip me over every 2 days or whatever. But how about this, man? I want everyone to die before me. Do you want that?
Everyone to die before me. Well, that's a strange thing to say. I mean, I think a lot of people would say the opposite, right?
Yes.
Like, they would want to go before other loved ones so they don't have to go through the pain of losing them and stuff like that. But, yeah, okay.
I'll tell you my side, but I just wanted to know it.
Yeah. Let's see. Me die before everyone or everyone die before me? I don't know if I have a real preference on that. Like, everyone I know right now dead before me?
I guess I don't know what my specifics are about that, but I suppose close ones, close people.
We talking like my mom, my brother, and then like this close like circle?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would rather die before at least some of them. I don't think I would want all of you guys to be dead before me. Probably not.
I guess
maybe
like
somewhere in the middle.
Right. Well, I guess the preparations and even if you're not like the one in control, power of attorney and stuff, the things, the lengths you would go to ceremonialize, if that's a word, the people. I suppose you got a point with that. I know that's not what you were like leading with, but that's what pops to mind for me.
What you're talking about, dealing with like the actual ceremony, burial, all that.
Even if you're not number one in control of that, just
going
attending and being a part. I mean, you'd have a big hand no matter
exhausted.
what. Yeah, you'd have a big hand, and that's not a reason to want to die first. But that's definitely like all wrapped up in that is grief, and that's a reason to want to die first.
Laziness.
I
don't want to have to plan any funerals. That's
right. But I don't. It's a control issue with me, and that's all it is. It's not really something that I am putting out there because I want it so badly I'd kill for it. Ironically, or anything like that. But like, it's more like I think I could make it okay. That's
so
all.
Just on that topic of could you like stay sharp in your faculties, like not be so grief stricken. If it's like that, I mean, I don't know. I still am in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm willing to lose, or not willing. I mean, I think I would be fine for a while losing a couple people as natural time passes and stuff. I don't think though that I would want to end up being like the last one. I don't think that I would want that.
Yeah, it's not like my big wish or anything, but I feel that I only feel that I'd perform best in that scenario is all. It's not so much like I want everyone to die. It's just
like
that
we're all holding you back, maybe.
Everyone's holding me back. No, I don't mean to say I perform really well once people die. That'd be a really messed up thing to say. It's already messed up that I'm saying it. But yeah, like that. The idea that I don't think I could be that strong. I don't really fancy myself as super, super, super strong. It's more a control thing, whereas like I think that, and this is probably not healthy, but I kind of think that people wouldn't be okay with me not being there, and I'd be okay with if they weren't there. And that's not really cool to think.
You're saying you think people would have a harder time with you dying than
I would have with them dying.
Oh, that's an
And
interesting
that's a
thing to
horrible
say.
thing to think. And I don't really like it about myself, but I think it's true.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And I don't think it's because I'm better than anyone. I don't think it's because it's so great. I'm just looking at the dynamic of the people that are close to me. Like, it's
Yeah.
not about, like, could they thrive better without me? It's
Yeah.
not that. It's like, who could deal? What are their strengths? Who would fall where? And it's not really a good request on my part because I will lose it and get less sharp as I go faster than a lot of people I know. Like, I know I'll fall deeper into dementia faster. So it's not like my holding up capabilities either.
Right.
It's just about, like, who could manage without whom and who could manage this and that without that.
yeah.
You know, and I don't think hunting and gathering has anything to do with it. I'm just talking more on an emotional level.
Well, I mean, you definitely are. I mean, you seem to always have your wits about you during any sort of tragedy or dilemma. Like, I mean, you know, you definitely seem to have the ability to hold it together in most scenarios. I mean, so I could
Right.
see that.
But it's weird to think because I don't know why I think it's like a very sick result of wanting control though. You know, like I could still give you that same answer, and if I had a different reason for it would be okay. But for my real reasoning for it, I don't think is good. I don't think.
Well, no one's perfect.
No, but it seems unhealthy. I'm not somebody who subscribes to like armchair psychology when people are like, obviously that person has an issue. Obviously that person has an, you know, like we all have those. Like
Yeah,
I'm never gonna think like, oh, that person has these kind of tendencies, so they need fixed. You know, I'm never gonna feel that way. Like
Yeah.
to an extent, like anxiety and things like that are just rampant, and it doesn't really matter.
I mean, I can't think of any specific examples right now, but I have, I mean, thoughts, I mean, weekly where I stop and think, oh, that's weird that I just thought that. Is that like socially acceptable to think like of, I don't know, you know, a strength or weakness that I feel like I have or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Is there one you can give me an example of without feeling super guilty that could bring up in a list of those? I know it's hard to on the spot like
Right.
this, but
I mean, it is hard because I know I've thought things like that before. I don't know. If it comes to me during
yeah,
this,
let me know. Let me know. Maybe I'll say something that'll cue it because like even if it has to do with somebody, maybe the best example is with somebody you don't know, like a stranger somewhere, a customer somewhere or something like that. But that's probably
Well,
not.
I mean,
quite
I
right.
guess that's kind of. I mean, this is just like a human race thing. But thinking about, you know, being empathetic to those that are close to you and having a harder time being empathetic to strangers. I mean, I think that a lot sometimes when I will read a story or something and everyone's like, oh, that's so tragic. And I'll say that, but sometimes I have a hard time finding that empathy because I'm like, I don't know, I just don't know them. I have a hard time like really plugging myself into that scenario. Like, I guess if I sit there and really think about it and try to put myself in that position and someone I know personally has had that tragedy or something,
Right.
maybe if I really try to think about it and, you know, put myself there, maybe then I would feel that way. But like, I don't know, there's a lot of times where I surprise myself with how much I don't care about things that don't directly affect me.
Right. No, you know what? I mean, that stuff is partially time sensitive, unfortunately. Like it's like stuff that you might even hear secondhand and a certain reaction isn't even warranted to the person that tells you, so you can kind of save yourself the agony of feeling bad that you don't feel bad. But I think it's like if you weren't so busy like we all are, you would probably have a much more like innocent reaction to that. But I think the minute somebody tells you that stuff, like you said about me, I think this is true for you and probably a lot of people I know, holding it together in the midst of somebody giving you news like so-and-so's aunt passed, then you probably are like, that's too bad, and you move right on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not that I don't, you know, I don't have sympathy for the person that's dealing with it or anything.
But you don't have the time to like actually flesh out what that sympathy would be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Don't try too hard and be insincere. That's even worse.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if, I mean, maybe it's a time, I mean, I think it's just, I just don't bother myself too much with stuff that, I don't know, doesn't affect me.
Right.
And then it's terrible. I mean, and I'm not without the ability, like, you know, if some sort of major cataclysm happens and there's like a hurricane or, you know, a tsunami or something, like, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get what's tragic about it, but yeah, I mean, and I think that it's also part of just the time we live in. I mean, millennials, we are all on the fast track constantly with, I mean, all of everything that we're doing now with like we were talking about streaming and, social media and all that stuff. I mean, we just live in the moment more than we ever have. I mean, news is just like a blip. Like you hear about it for, a day, and then, you hear another story about a celebrity's dog, and that takes over the news the next day. And before, you'd hear like 3 big stories of the year, and then you had time to simmer, and like think about it. And now it's just like, I mean, every single day is something different, and you're being hammered with that stuff. So I don't know, maybe if that's stunting our ability to be empathetic, I don't know.
Yeah,
or maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe people still feel it and they're sincere, but sometimes I'm skeptical of that, and I think that I don't know. A lot of people would be are insincere about stuff like that, and they just are trying to fool everyone.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, Peppy and I were talking earlier about like a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket when it comes to artistic projects, and we like the people, including ourselves, who put out feelers on a couple things. Like it's not the idea of trying a million things till one hits. It's more like just diversifying your talent. And most really, really huge actors are doing that now. So that it's not just, it's an economic effect as well as a media like progress like sign. It's like, it's also just because people everywhere, Tom Hanks is like gigging, and like he's making tons more money than I'll ever see.
Yeah.
But like, he is doing the like iTunes interview with the actor on Larry Crown, so that movie will make some money because it's make some DVD sales. It'll do, it's like all these little tiny like branches of even huge jobs are happening. So like, even if the media thing wasn't happening so much, or like maybe in some different form, we'd still be moving just fast.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's got to work these odd jobs to get by. And I think though this podcast focuses a lot on entertainment, you don't really hear us commenting on the culture of entertainment very much. And I think to be said about that is that like people are just finding, and this has been said a few times recently, very recently, that like those people that really want to do it, they'll do it for a lesser price.
Yeah.
And so like I think that like there's this weird economic, take it out of the entertainment industry. There's a weird economic vibe to like taking news and processing it correctly. Like I don't mean Fox News. I mean news about your aunt's death.
Yeah, right.
Processing it correctly. I sound crazy. Well, then, I hope you guys understand what I said, because I don't. But we were talking about that though, him and I, and we were saying we like when people take it in little strides and stuff. But that really that takes away your 3 big stories a year. That really takes your sink-in time away.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. That's just a horrible thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just more going on now than there. I mean, I don't know. Just like you're saying, people have multiple jobs now because things are just not as good as they were. I don't know. There's just now everyone has Netflix, or you have I don't know, your friends' kids. I don't know, a ballet recital or something. Like, everyone's like doing more constantly. Yeah, you just don't really have, or, in between all of that, you're checking your phone for, any of your articles or any of that stuff, like be it entertainment or topical or anything like that. And it's just weird. We don't really have any spare seconds to like think anymore.
And slowly there are moments of checking things like that. Those things are growing big, and our physical presence is growing smaller. On one hand, great for the use of materials and recycling, and on the other hand, weird. Like it's like you can almost kind of think like you're in this tiny box of a house so that you can pay your iPhone bill.
Yeah.
Or you're in this little house and this big phone.
Yeah,
right. And like not that. I don't think it's bad. I don't get caught up on like, look where we are. And some would argue the reason it's so hectic now is because we actually have it better than we ever have. I don't. It's like maybe there isn't this value per item these days, but everybody I know is doing well compared to what I ever thought.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't have any money.
Yeah.
one thing I do that you might appreciate is that it's always like $5 or $10. It's never enough. But when I do donate, like to organizations, I choose the one I can relate with the least.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard so many celebrities, and I don't know why it angers me a little when they're like, I have this, and I'm donating to it.
They have like stock in what they're putting money into. Yeah. I get that.
And that shouldn't make me angry. They know about it, so they're going to put money into something they know.
Yeah, it's like personal to them. They have, I get that, but I mean, it's cool to kind of go the opposite route and donate to something that you know nothing about.
And not always. I have donated to bands who have Kickstarters, and I donate to like people who do things that we care about. It's got to be something you relate to and that you agree. But like, I think I voted to donate to the Green Beret because I didn't know about it at all one time, because like I guess I was sick of it's only because of celebrities that ruin it. I would never even have this thought, but like I just can't stand the sob story behind the donation or the asking for donations in the commercials. Like them doing the commercials and the sob story, totally okay.
Yeah.
For some reason it just irks me to some degree where like, and it doesn't matter. We've done benefit shows for friends who like have something going on. So I don't know why I'm not like, don't donate to something that you know. That's silly. But like, I guess I've just
I'm sure you don't mean like in all cases.
In almost no cases, but just like a few cases where like people were like, my friend has this, donate to it. Yeah. And I was like, shut up. I'm going to donate to something else now. You suck. Why did you tell me? You think you can tell me what to do? Okay. I realize it's not at all legit. Like, annoyance. It's not at all a legit annoyance. I totally concede. Okay. I do not. It's not like I get mad when I see Michael J. Fox like helping Park. I'm sorry, like, but I'm just gonna leave this unedited so you can just tell, man. I'm just on my, on the cuff, off the cuff rather, all the time.
Sure. This is definitely not gonna paint either of us in a good light.
No, we just look bad. We're talking about death very lightly.
Yeah. Charities that we're shunning because, for whatever reason, because someone supports it. Like,
you support them? You're just a jerk with your own agenda. By the way, go to thirdclass.net.
I would like to keep my name off that, though. The charity thing you're talking about.
Cory is cool with people supporting charities with reasons. I used to be not cool with charities for a reason. Now I understand it through talking to Cory. You have a reason for charity? You're a monster.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yikes.
So, okay, I guess dark subject matter is good for you because you like dark things sometimes. But is there anything like you and me went to some sort of comic thing recently? What was that?
Oh, you're talking about Cinema Wasteland?
Yeah.
It's I mean, I can't take credit for ever like figuring out what it is, but someone that I work with, Dave, who is also starting his own podcast eventually.
And he is a guest on Nursery. I haven't edited it yet, but it'll be around by the time you probably listen to this in the future.
Cool. So he's a big horror movie buff, and it happens I think twice a year near Cleveland, and I went with him last year, and then I went again this year and took you and Peppy and Craig, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know. There's like just like a lot of memorabilia. You see like panels with people from old horror movies. There's Tom Sullivan is always there, who's signing stuff. He did all the like makeup stuff on Evil Dead, among other things that he did. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get to see a lot of characters, and there's some like cool merchandise, like new some cool. We got those concrete, I don't know what you call them, like lawn ornaments, like animals with like sobbing baby heads, like realistic looking baby heads. I don't know, it's neat. I don't know. Horror movies are cool. That whole genre and community of people I always think is pretty interesting. And
Tom Sullivan sat down with you at one a year or two back and talked to you, right, and drew you some pictures rather. Yeah.
I mean, he does that with everyone. He's a very friendly guy.
But what draws you to him? Like, what did you like about that experience?
I mean, he was just so personable. I couldn't imagine. I mean, it's a 2-day event, or 3-day event. I'm sorry, it's Friday through Sunday. I mean, and he's there like all 3 days. I don't know how long that convention is. Probably from like 8 or 9 in the morning until probably 9 o'clock at night. And no matter what day you're there, I don't know, he's just like so friendly, and like I wasn't super familiar with him before I went, and I was just like, I don't know, I was refreshed with how like personable he was. Even, I mean, at that point, 3 days in, I would not want to be talking to anybody, let alone like, like he's signing stuff, he's drawing pictures on stuff. I mean, in every single person, I mean, he's just like striking up conversation. I mean, you're waiting in line for so long because once he gets going, he just like talks and talks and talks. But it's all really like interesting, and he's a very nice, friendly, funny guy.
And for listeners who don't know, who is he in relation to like the movie scene or whatever he does?
Well, he did like a lot of the effect design and like stuff on Evil Dead. I'm not super familiar with what all he does, but I remember seeing like all of his like, the Necronomicon was there from the movie, and I don't know, he just has like a lot of prints and stuff. I don't know, he just like worked on horror movies, does makeup, sketches, like props, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Animatronics. I mean, he was pretty cool.
Yeah, Evil Dead. For you guys that don't know, Evil Dead is a movie. And no, I probably don't have to say that. Most people know what that is. If not, go look it up. It's pretty cool, and it's got an element of comedy to it. I remember vaguely,
especially like, I mean, the first one didn't have so much comedy. I guess the second and third though,
yeah,
really
totally
amped up the humor aspect of it. Yeah, but it was really cool. I think Dave, while we were there this last year, bought some sort of picture frame that was made out of like the shutters that were the part of like the house in, I think, the second one or something. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, my experience in going to Cinema Wasteland was interesting because a lot like the Green Beret, I knew nothing, and I went because of that. I wanted to get out of my box a little and see stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, it's horror genre is kind of my box, just in the case that, I mean, I like horror movies. I'm not like Dave. I mean, Dave knows everything about every movie ever made. I mean, he's just like so knowledgeable of it. I've just always enjoyed that whole side of stuff. Like, I like horror movies. I like reading and stuff about the supernatural and stuff. I mean, I don't believe really any of it, but it's always been interesting to me. I'm like a skeptic, but still really curious about the whole idea of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then my dad, when I was younger, I was really, really scared of everything. My brother used to like scare me with like a Gremlins coloring book. Like, that was all it took. And then I don't know, at some young age, my dad started introducing me to like some scary stuff, like movies or TV shows that he would watch or something. And then I eventually got pretty comfortable with it pretty quickly. And then I've just always, I don't know, I'm somehow comforted by horror. I don't know why.
Yeah. I wish I was like that. I'm not there, but I like the notion of it because I feel like, I've said this a few times, it feels like you look at the production value of the movie now, you can look outside of it while you're enjoying it and then get back in, come out whenever you want. And I like that because then I guess I like that idea because I'm comforted in you knowing so much so it's not real that you can find comfort in it,
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that it's fake, and it's easy for me to like, get settled into a horror movie and not like be freaked out or anything, but I don't want to give the wrong impression. Like, if anything like that happened to me in real life, I would not do well with it.
Yeah.
I mean, so
I've seen things and I don't know what I believe, but like I've definitely 2 times seen something like just walk by real fast, and that's it. That's all I got. I wish I had like a cooler story, but I was working at a pizza place that I worked at for a very long time. The manager left to go to the bank and then would come back in a few. And I knew no one else was where I was looking. The person who was making pizza was in my, like, I knew where in the store they were, and they weren't there. And somebody walked past, and it was all peripheral. Maybe it's boring, but it's all peripheral things. It's always been that. But I've seen like 2 or 3 things like that.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say. And I mean, for me, I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, you catch a glimpse out of something out of the corner of your eye, and if you don't catch it fast enough, your brain fills in your logic gaps. You're just trying to like make sense of it, or also, you're just, I don't know, you see something moves in a weird way, and your brain just starts telling you, oh, it was like a human figure or something, but it isn't. I don't know. But I think a lot of people would say, or like believers and that stuff, I've heard people say stuff like, it's that's like the realm in your peripherals where they can exist. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that, which I mean, I don't buy. I don't
Yeah,
really believe
I buy
in, like,
that stuff so hard sometimes, and I don't know why.
do?
It's for the enjoyment. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I like the notion of it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I believe it.
I'm a sucker for the whole, all that X-Men stuff too. All that. Oh, well, actually, it's exactly where you wouldn't think. You can use this percent of your brain, and we're all the X-Men now. Or this
Yeah,
is
right.
or right where you wouldn't look is exactly where they dwell. And if you
Yeah.
catch it fast enough,
Yeah,
just
right.
all that, those things you don't use that much is where everything lies. It's so
Yeah.
perfectly convenient.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Convenient is a really
right.
good way because there's always a convenient explanation.
Right, but I
as
love
to why
it.
we can't get like a clear shot of it. I mean, and I'm generally open in all aspects of my life. I'm not saying that it absolutely doesn't exist. I just don't know. I mean, I just don't know that I've ever had enough experience or evidence for me to believe in it, but it still interests me more than most things. I don't know why I'm on this, like, I don't know, on this, I don't want to say journey. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I like to be around stories of that and people talking about it, and I've always wanted an experience like that, but I've never had one.
Maybe there is something to be said about something that you're chasing, but since I've already seen those stupid things out the corner of my eye, I'm like, I just want to watch stupid Adam Sandler comedies and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you looking? You said, you obviously said you'd be scared out of your mind, but you're simultaneously saying you would enjoy, kind of, or
Well, I mean, I guess when I was talking about horror movies and saying I'd be scared in my mind, I mean that generally.
Oh, I see.
Well,
yeah.
that generally I meant like
If big things happened.
yes, like if I mean any of those ones where it's like bad people that freaks me out. I don't I have a hard time with like tangible scary people. I don't know. I guess it depends on how severe my supernatural experience would have to be for me to be scared. But I don't think that I would be scared if I was in the house alone and I finally saw like something pass that I knew wasn't really there. Like if I saw it clearly, knew it wasn't a real person, because if it was a real person, that would scare me more.
Okay.
But if I saw it and I was convinced immediately, like, oh, I just saw a ghost, I don't think that would scare me so much. I mean, it would have to be like.
It'd have to be in a very evil context
Yeah,
to
I
scare
think
you.
like pictures would have to be flying off my walls and like.
Or it'd be like Pepe's in bed, and then you walk in to check on him, and it's like The Exorcist, where like a glowing, like your grandma's there instead, or something.
Sure,
like,
yeah, that I don't know. Yeah, that would be freaky. I don't know. Maybe
like
if
no,
I
that
just
wouldn't
saw,
bother me.
like a glowing, like human shape that I'm assured is not real. Like a real human, like standing there, maybe not. But I mean, if that thing was like coming at me, then maybe.
Would you try to talk to him?
Wait, is Pepe possessed?
No. I guess
to
I
the
mean, if you were in a hallway and you saw a ghost, yeah, separately from that.
I don't know. I guess if it stood there long enough. I mean, if it just like phased out of my vision, then no. I mean, I would probably not necessarily be scared, but like I'd be frozen from like surprise for a number of seconds, and then if it was still there, then maybe I'd try to talk to
I
him.
guess anyone would after a certain
right.
amount of time, but it doesn't seem feasible now. But I know that, like, obviously you'd think you'd run away, but I think the common occurrence would be to freeze for a while and then maybe try to interact for a second.
Yeah.
Because I know that's happened a few times, and they've caught it on recordings on podcasts, obviously on lots of those like ghost hunters and type shows. But like,
Has Pepe ever told you about the time that when we lived at the Boulevard Club, when he woke up and I was, I have a tendency to sleep talk and sleepwalk, but he said that he had woke up one night and I don't know if I was sitting up or if I was still laying, but he said my eyes were wide open and I was talking in what sounded like a language, like a fluent language. He said it didn't sound like gibberish, it sounded deliberate. And he said he couldn't get me to stop, so he had to leave. And he left for like 20 minutes, came back, and then I was asleep. But like, yeah, I don't know.
that's scary. I don't remember that. That is scary. We had a band stay over the weekend, and the woman who plays bass tends to sleep with her eyes open a lot.
Yeah,
and,
I think I do that a lot.
Yeah, and the drummer saw her, and he went and slept in the van. Like, he just left our house where he had plenty of places to sleep, and
What,
went
was
in
he
the
not
van.
used to, I mean, if they traveled, like,
He's
as a
kind of
band.
new. He's kind of new.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, he was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
snoring also involved and just woke him up. But like,
Yeah. I mean, I've woken up, I don't know why, but I have woken up standing in my bed reaching for the light on the ceiling, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know. And I don't wake up for any of it. And like Peppy and Mindy are used to it now. I mean, Mindy says she hears me talking constantly when she's here. Like, she can't make out any of it. Or sometimes I laugh, or sometimes I sound panicked. I don't know, but I mean, it's almost every night. I don't know why.
Man.
I know.
I didn't really know that about you. That's an interesting thing. I always say that my friend Craig, who is a pretty funny person, he's kind of also at the same time personable and funny. He's also kind of a robot in certain ways, and I think we started this joke where we say that he just goes home, or if he stays the night somewhere, he just like goes in another room, stands against the wall, and waits for us to wake up. You know, like he just goes in the other room, stands there, and waits for morning, and then we wake up and he comes up and he's like, "Oh God, wow, I really got some good sleep."
Yeah,
man.
right.
Wow, sleep, right, guys? That's rest. Totally. And he's just like this otherworldly thing.
Could you imagine walking into a room at night, like you woke up to use the bathroom and you like just peer your face like right in the doorway of Craig's, and he's just standing against the wall.
Yeah, just looking right at you. Yeah,
No, I don't.
Maybe shut down to some extent, but not enough not to
In
be
rest
awake.
mode.
Right.
Oh, yikes.
And maybe for our benefit, he just lays and like is like horizontal for our sake. But when he's in his apartment alone, he stands smack in the middle of the entire place.
Yeah, he just like walks until he's like walking no more. He just like he's just doing his day, and then he's like, "Oh no, here we go." He just like freezes and then just stays like that for 12 hours.
And like just stands in the middle, like right between his TV and his window and his kitchen counter, like looking up at the
right
ceiling
where
or
the
something.
magnetic
creepy.
field just is the strongest, and he just charges.
Dude.
That would be nice.
And it's not that he creeps me out. It's scary to think of that idea with anyone. Like,
Have you ever told Craig that story?
oh yeah, we always
okay.
say that. Like he says it about himself. He says like, he's like, yeah, I went and I think we even incorporated. I don't know why this would work, but like, you know, like I think we've even incorporated the idea that like he gets into a glass case.
Oh, God.
Like he just goes to his apartment, gets into his glass case, stares straight ahead, and then gets out of it when the sun rises.
God.
I don't know why it's like almost as if like you put a jar over him when he's sleeping in quotes.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, and that's his, and then it's just like, and the door opens and he's awake.
Well, I don't know. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Just pretending to sleep. Well, okay, guys, I guess we've covered a ton of really weird, dark subjects between these two personalities. That makes sense. But can you tell my mom something?
Oh.
Yeah.
Tell her anything?
Yeah.
What? Since what? So now she just knows that we're on a podcast, so now
Well,
that's like no longer it.
She knows. We're on here.
She is.
Look, Mom, we're on a podcast.
Hey, KB. I don't know. Tell my mom I said hi.
Yeah. My mom and Corey's mom are kind of friends. So tell her I said hi. Corey's mom, if you're listening, tell Noreen I said hi. And Noreen, if you're listening, tell my mom I said hi.
Full circle.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.